Hello.
Uh, Hello.
I am so sorry about earlier.
It's all right.
I really am. I never do that. And we're sitting there eating breakfast, and I'm like, oh no.
All good.
So, hi, how do you say your name?
Maciej.
Mache.
Yes.
Boom.
You could go by MJ.
Oh, MJ. MJ might be easier for me.
Yes, probably.
Well, it's nice to meet you, and I'm excited for whatever you got in store. So,
I'm actually pretty I was surprised that you agreed to this.
really, why?
Yes.
Why?
It's my first time. I thought that yeah, you will say no or ignore it.
No, um, a long time ago, I was starting out, and I would reach out to people uh, for interviews or, just kind of general meetings. And I always thought if I ever got higher up, as far as writing and stuff, that I would do that too, because it was important for me just to stay motivated, motivated in writing, motivated in the entertainment industry. And so, I got to slow down. I've got to start saying no more, but you made it. So,
Yeah, thanks for that.
well, part of the reason is because I think when you reached out last time, I had said like, um, can you wait till, this month or when these movies are out or whatever? And usually people don't follow up. So you did, which is great. So you're in Poland now? Where in Poland are you?
Actually, I'm in Germany right now.
Germany.
I'm Polish, but I live in Germany for 6 years now.
Where in Germany?
It's not the city. How to little town, I would say. Scheuerfeld is it called.
Hmm.
It's in there around Cologne. I have to Cologne like 2 hours.
Okay. My mom did a foreign exchange, like an exchange in college, and she stayed. I'm trying to remember what the name of the place she stayed, though. It was a small village in Germany. I don't remember. I'll have to find out. So, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I finished Super Sons on Thursday.
Okay. And
Loved it.
okay, good.
Uh, it is a pretty simple movie, but with a lot of heart.
Yeah, yeah. That's I I think sometimes you can either go one of two ways. You could either make a movie that is very complicated and you can get in trouble that way, right? You can get in trouble making a really big plot that may or may not make sense. Um, but for this movie, because it's the first time we've put those boys together, and it is aimed at kind of the whole family in a way. So anybody can pretty much watch it. We wanted to make it more simple in terms of plot, but we wanted to fill it with a lot of character and heart so that you really understood who these kids are and that you root for them. I mean, if you watch a lot of the movies I like, you know, whether it's Top Gun 2 or whatever, they're simple stories, but you love them because you're laughing with them, you identify with them. And so we tried to make it very heartfelt. That was the main purpose of that.
And you succeeded.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Uh, was it? always meant to be CGI animated, or
So Rick Morales, who is the producer on this project, and a producer on animation is much more like what you would think of when you think of like a director in live action movies. He's the one that came to me years ago with the Super Sons trade, and he wanted to do it, and we just started talking back and forth about how we wanted to do it. And Rick had always wanted it to be CGI, but CGI is very expensive, and it's much more expensive than 2D. So we didn't think we were going to ever be able to do it. And Rick and I had done a bunch of Lego, like fun Lego movies together, and they were all CGI. So he's really good at CGI. And then suddenly they came to us and they said, "Hey, we have a CGI that is also like two-dimensional or cell shaded. So it kind of mixes 3D, like CGI 3D with 2D in a way." And it became feasible. And so, Rick was absolutely excited about it. And I I can barely dress myself. So, I'm not an artist, and I have to trust those artists that they know what they're doing. And I don't know if I had an opinion. I was more excited that Rick was excited. And then when he started showing me some of the animation, I got really excited about it. I got excited because one of the first things they showed me was John Kent's hair. Like, and it was just messy. It was like kid hair, and it was messy, and he was very expressive. And I thought, oh, this is really neat because we're going to be able to show a bigger range of motions, I think, emotion in a way. And so I really dug it, and it was the first time that Warner Brothers Animation had done CG for these. So that was kind of a big deal for them. And it's cool because if people buy enough of the DVD and buy enough of the digital, we're hoping that they'll give us another movie. And if they do, what's neat about CG is that you can use those assets again. So it doesn't cost as much the next time around. So
yeah.
I hope people like it enough that we can do that.
I hope too.
Yeah. I think if we did it a second one, it would be more focused on Damien because this one was much more focused on John. So in my mind, it would, the next one would probably be slightly more focused on Damien.
On Damien to balance that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. Take your time.
I'm a bit nervous.
Oh, don't be, please. Of what? It's me we're talking to. I'm just a nerd.
I would call myself also a nerd, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Well, when I was growing up, uh it wasn't something that was popular. And I always find it very funny that the things I was bullied for, I'm being paid for now. Like everything I liked and no one else liked, or my friends and I liked, but a lot of people didn't like, is extremely popular now. So it's
Yeah.
if you would tell me when I was a kid that we were going to get 50 different superhero movies and a Moon Knight television show or a She-Hulk I would have, you're out of your mind. There's no way. And here we are, and it's like, it hasn't stopped.
We also got the Werewolf by Night special.
I really like that. I really like that. I'm a sucker
There is
for werewolf stuff. I love the black and white. And the director, who is the composer, Michael Giacchino, I forget how you say his name. Uh,
I'm also not sure how to pronounce his last name.
but he did a great job. A great job.
Yes, I
I
agree.
I was like, oh, so this guy is the one to watch because I just felt like it was really great.
Yeah, agreed. I hope he would direct
Me
another
too.
one.
Me too. Yeah.
Mm, when you with I'm really sorry for my English.
Oh, don't be. At least you can speak multiple languages. I can do one, and not very good.
No, I can do three.
That's amazing.
Not really because of German. Because of German, sometimes I if I when I talk English, German wants to come out of my
Oh,
mouth.
that's funny. That's great. Well, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, just say whatever you got.
Mm, uh, when how is it decided if one film, for example, in the DC universe, which one will be connected to another one? Is it on before the script is written, why the script is written, or
Yeah. So as far as like the DC animated universe, the animation universe, so there are different producers that handle different movies. And usually there is a connected universe and one producer is handling that. So James Tucker previously, they call it the Tuckerverse. You know, he had connected all those movies were in the same universe, and now they call it the Tomorrowverse. Generally, if Butch Lukic, I can never say his name right, Butch, who's unbelievable, if his name's on there, you can generally believe that it's connected to the next universe. Starting with my friend Tim's movie, which is Superman. I think it's Man of Tomorrow,
yes.
and the Batman Long Halloween, and JSA, World War II. Like, and you can see a lot of those voice actors are the same voice actors. And now where it gets tricky is they did some DC showcase shorts,
Yeah,
and some of those are connected, but they're also, it's really funny because in animation they don't want us talking about it all that much. They're very secretive in some ways, and I know what movies are coming, and I know, you know, right now they announced the Supergirl and the Legion, which is
Legion of
really
Superman.
exciting. And yeah, so that is decided beforehand, and they do those, and then there's other people that are working there. So Bruce Timm, he and I did Batman Soul of the Dragon, and that's not connected to anything because that's just Bruce Timm doing his thing. And then obviously Batman Super Sons, I mean Batman and Superman Battle of the Super Sons, and there's a couple others that Rick is doing that aren't part of that universe. And I think they all kind of develop their own little universe a little bit. You know, the people that work there, which is kind of cool. I like it.
Yeah. Um, 2 weeks ago I watched Snowblind.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it's the best one from re- of uh,
Of the
the best
three.
one out of, yes, but also from every Mortal Kombat movie ever.
I like that. Um, you know, it's interesting. Um, the third one, for the three that I've done, the third one is the one that we didn't have people coming in as much and telling us what to do. The first two, because they were new, like the first one, if you watch Scorpion's Revenge, the opening of Scorpion's Revenge, that tone and the way that was playing, that was going to be kind of what that entire movie was about. It was going to be from Scorpion's point of view. But you know, other people, it's very collaborative, and there's a lot of different, hey, we want to bring in these characters, we want people to know certain things, and so it became what it is, and I really enjoy it. The second one, was harder because we had to cut like 40 minutes out of it.
It
And
feels like it
yeah,
feels like.
yeah, it's a lot. And at the time, we only thought we were going to be able to do two. And Rick and I, for the second one, really were like, we need to show that the mythology of Mortal Kombat's completely crazy, and they have all these things like the Kamidagu and the One Being, but it just got away from us, I think, in terms of how much was going on. So after that second movie, we didn't think we were going to do anymore. And then we get a call from the president of Warner Brothers Animation, and he said, "Hey, these did really well. We'd like to do more, but let's do them different. We want to do something different." And so I pitched like six different ideas, and the executive, one of the ideas, he was like, "No, we can't do that." And of course, that was the idea I really wanted to do. So I said, well, let's just keep it on the list. No, they won't pick it. They won't pick it. And they picked it. So there's Snowblind. And then they announced the new Johnny Cage movie, which is the one that I really wanted and is the one that's coming out whenever it comes out. But I'm very excited about that one because it's unlike anything else we've done. But Snowblind is very much unlike anything else we've done. And Rick Morales, who's the producer, and he directed Snowblind, we've worked on, I don't know, we've worked on like 10 films, 10 or 11 films now. And we're really good friends. And he just was very passionate about it. And so, and he does this thing where I turn in the script, and then, he won't let me, he'll show me little bits, but I never really get to see the completed movie until we're doing audio commentary for it. And you can hear me. I'm like, trying to talk about the movie, but I'm reacting to all the violence, which is funny. And it's just funny that both that and Super Sons kind of came out at the same time. I mean, I wrote them years ago, so it's kind of cool that they all came out at the same
Yeah.
time.
Are you writing the next Mortal Kombat Legends, or is it a different
Yeah,
person?
the Johnny Cage one. Yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm very excited
Yes,
about it. I'm very excited.
same.
It's one of those things where it's like, I love it a lot, but I also recognize I may be the only one that loves it. It's really out there. It's really out there. But Joel McHale as Johnny Cage is like, um, he was so funny in the other movies. And we all just said, man, I would love to see him do Johnny Cage again. And I had a really weird idea. So they all agreed. And we're off to the races.
I'm excited. Can't wait.
Yeah. I can't tell you more, but I want to. Oh, I want to.
Understandable. Um, One of the fun questions I had was if you had creative freedom to do everything you want.
Yeah.
So, for example, mixing some franchises into one movie,
Yeah.
what would you do?
Ooh, that's tough. Mixing franchises into a movie.
For example, it isn't necessary.
Like what? Like say something.
Uh, if you could do whatever you want, create.
If I could do any movie I want, I mean, there's some live action movies I would love to do. I have a hilarious idea, I think, for a sequel to Ferris Bueller in a way that I think would be really fun. Um, but I also like mixing up franchises. I once pitched an idea for uh, the movie Saw. I
Yes.
wanted to do that with Jason Voorhees, which from Friday the 13th, which I think would be really cool. Uh, I I I basically I would put Rambo in any movie. And then I always hoped when J.J. Abrams took over the Mission Impossible series, I always wanted them to cross over with the Alias TV series, like I because they always felt tonally the same. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of there are a lot of like big franchises that I would love to do stories in, not necessarily. Oh, I will tell you, I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and I would love Doctor Who to show up in everything. I would love for him to show up in Downton Abbey. I would I would love for him to just show up in all and maybe you never even call him Doctor, you know, the Doctor or whatever, but like having Matt Smith show up or David Tennant show up in something and act exactly like Doctor Who act. I tried on Supernatural. I tried to get them to let me try and get an episode of Super Hulock, which was kind of a fandom thing on Tumblr, where it was Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock, and I was like, we could do this, and they're like, we can't do it. I was like, we absolutely can. And they were like, no one cares about that. No one cares about the Tumblr thing. And I'm like, I care. And I was convinced I could get in touch with David Tennant because through my animation connections, I was absolutely convinced. And the Sherlock would have been hard because Cumberbatch is Doctor, you know, he's a big movie star now.
Yes.
But Johnny Lee Miller, who played Sherlock in the American there's like an American version of Sherlock Holmes. It had just got canceled. I'm like, we could get him, you know, and I was so excited. And I mean, the minute it came out of my mouth, they were all like, "You're an idiot. No, we're not going to do that." But yeah, I have a ton of. I mean, if you saw my desktop, it's just ideas. It's tons and tons of ideas that I would love to do.
Yeah. I hope you can just do them someday.
Thank you.
Um, that's a question from a friend of mine. How was it decided that the DC AMU, the Tuckerverse version of Titans was in Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans? Was it?
Oh, you know, because I came in, I don't know really how. I knew that the original Teen Titans show was really popular. I was a huge fan of it. In fact, when Teen Titans Go came out, I was like, boo, you know, because I like the old Titans.
Uh,
And then when you really watch Teen Titans Go and you're like, oh, this is really funny. I get it. This is something different. It seemed like a no-brainer. I came in on that movie. Marley Halprin, uh, uh, he had done the majority of that work, and then I'd come in to do some punch ups and change some things with Raven and do stuff. So it was just a real privilege because I'd always wanted to work on Teen Titans Go and Teen Titans, and it was like, you know, suddenly I get this call like, "Hey, you want to come do some stuff on this?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." But the guy who directed it, he's just an absolute genius, and Jeff is his name, and he is like he just he's just a crazy genius. So I'm sure I don't know though. I don't know how they decided to do it. The guys who you know were producers on that, the ones who did the Teen Titans Go to the movies, they're the ones directing. They're the ones directing the Mario movie. You know, the new Mario movie, which makes me think it's going to be 1,000% better than anybody thinks it's going to be, because those guys are, you know, they're absolutely geniuses themselves. So
I think Mario movie will be pretty good.
I think
I,
so. I think it's going to be funny. You know, it's going to be like that Teen Titans Go humor. You know, so which is zany, to say the least. You know.
um, would you give some advice for young writers if you?
Young writers. So I will tell you what I wish I would have done. I loved writing. in school. And when I got a little older, I didn't realize it's something you could do for a job. Uh, and a couple things. One, Stephen King has an amazing book I think all writers should read called On Writing. It's fantastic. It's it's part biography and it's part book. You should read about writing and you should read all the time. The thing that I wish I would have known was write as much as you can, you know, because I moved out to Los Angeles and I had written one script in college. And when you're out here, you'll meet people. You're networking, you're going out and you're meeting people, and somebody will say, "Oh, I'm looking for a horror movie." Well, if you've got one, then you have a leg up, right? So I, at one point out here, I was like, I really have to start putting my nose to the grindstone. I really have to start, writing scripts. And I started writing. And for me, the key was it wasn't writing 8 hours a day. It was going, what's the bare minimum amount of time that I can actually write per day? And I'm lazy. So it's like, okay, I can't do 8 hours. I can't even divide that by, I can't even do 4 hours. I could do, maybe I could do an hour. That's how long I was like, okay, I had a day job. I will do an hour. I'd set a timer and I'd sit down. And some days I'd write one page, some days I'd write a lot more. But what I found was I was writing a script a month, easy. And I was suddenly just writing and it was just habit. And so now I had all these scripts and so I would say first write a lot, read a lot. Like if you want to write, if you want to be a screenwriter, read a bunch of screenplays. You want to be a novelist, you read a bunch of novels. And if that's just how you kind of learn the format and learn the tricks of the trade, right? So then I had a bunch of stacks of scripts, and the thing that I wish I would have known that is still really hard for me is that you have to let people read it. You have to let people read it and you have to let them give you feedback, because this industry is all about feedback, and sometimes it's not nice, sometimes it's really mean, and you might as well start developing how to take that criticism and you don't have to accept it, but well, if somebody's paying you and they're paying you to play with their toys, then you do have to learn how to accept it, and you have to learn how to do it in a way that you can live with. And those are all skills you have to learn. But the only way, it was really hard for me. I had written some screenplays, but the hardest part for me wasn't writing the screenplays, even though that was difficult. It was giving it to someone to read. And it's still, to this day, it's hard to give to someone to read and get their feedback on. It's unbelievably, some people are great at it. I have friends that they love giving it to people. And I'm just like, no, I don't want anybody to read it. But I think developing writing a lot, B, giving it to people so that they would give you feedback, and 3, it's doing exactly like what you're doing. Reach out to people. Creators have never been more accessible in the history of the world. And as long as you're not crazy, which there's a lot of crazy, but you have the ability to not say, hey, read this for me, but engage with those people. And hopefully you build a relationship so that it develops to a point where you could go, hey, could you read this for me? Or do you have any suggestions? Or do you know anybody looking for whatever? You can get in those writing communities. There's communities, I'm sure there's one in Germany. I'm sure there's, Facebook group of writers wherever, and just start networking. It's not natural, I think, for writers to network. Like we're at a computer away from everyone writing, but get out there and you have to meet people, because those people might give you jobs. I see we
Mhm.
have 9 minutes. All right, what's the
Yeah.
next question?
Um, did you want to do you want to direct one of your scripts? Be a
Yes,
director?
yeah, that is something that I have one script in particular, a horror movie that I really, really, really want to do, and I'm getting to the point where I'm absolutely terrified uh, to do it, and the real trick is finding someone to give you money to do it because it's expensive, or do you just try to do it low budget? And the problem is low budget, and
Yeah.
sometimes that comes out good, but most of the time it doesn't. So, do I get to a place where I can do some like that people would trust me enough, like on Kickstarter, to help pay for it? Maybe. I don't know. I would rather meet a oil baron that says, yes, here's a couple $1,000,000 to do your low budget horror movie, because it's a weird movie. I don't particularly think people are going to be like, yes, that's what I want to spend money on. But it's weird enough to me that I'm like, I really like it, I really want to do it, I'm deathly scared to do it. And I think that's also one of the reasons I'm going to have to do it at some point, but I don't know when.
Yeah. Can you say a bit about that script? Something.
It's about a bank heist that goes really, really, really wrong. That's all I can tell you.
Okay.
And I have a couple of horror scripts that are very, like, not and I don't know why. I have a bunch of action movie scripts and I have a bunch of, other scripts, but the horror movie scripts are the ones that I'm like, oh, that would be really fun to do. So I have like two or three that are like very few locations and lots of twists and turns, and I like that type of stuff. So
Understand.
yeah.
I would I would love to watch a horror film from you.
Oh well, thank you. I would love, so maybe someday somebody will let me have the chance.
I hope so.
All right, you got 7 minutes. Hit me.
Yeah. Uh, your favorite part about writing?
Ooh, my favorite part about writing, besides seeing it completed, which is a huge thing. My favorite part about writing is some of the time is just being able to get all these things in my head out of my head. That's a huge, like, it's a lot of stories and stuff are in my head, and oftentimes when I write, I just kind of push play and I put it down. And when something clicks, because to me, writing stories is a lot like doing math, and I don't like math, but like things where you're like, I really want this moment to happen, and I want it to mean something, but I don't know how. And I'll find myself, and it'll come to me in the weirdest times where I'm like in the shower, or I'm listening to music and or something, and then someone like, oh, I got it, like I know what's supposed to happen, and I'll get so excited and I'll write it down. Or like even in Super Sons, I remember I would call up Rick and I'd be like, okay, what if Damien lands at Jonathan's school and like is walking the halls and like hits the bully in the chest or whatever, and to hear him go, oh, that's hilarious. I'm like, oh, that's all I need. That validation where someone else thinks it's funny is really, really great. But figuring out, putting it all together. But really the best part of writing, even though I love all that, the best part of writing is putting the end. And I only say that because I know many more, like, better writers than I am. The difference is they can never finish anything. And I think for you to be an actual writer, you have to finish the story. You have to put the end. You have to finish it. And that is a huge accomplishment for anybody, for a short story, a novel, whatever. You can finish it. That's kudos to you. You know, that's a big deal in my mind.
Yeah. Um, and the last thing, if outside of Mortal Kombat Legends cage match,
Yeah.
did I spell that correctly?
Yeah, you got it.
What is another project you're working on, if you
What?
can tell?
Oh, I can't tell. I can't. I can tell you that I have next year. I believe I have two movies that are going to be out. One is one that I worked on with other people, which is exciting. And then the year after that, I probably have another one, maybe. And so I can't really tell you what those are. I can tell you that, you know, I write the Flash comic book, and
Yeah.
I've been having so much fun doing the Flash comic book. And I have this arc called the 1 Minute War that starts in January, where all these speedster aliens basically come down to Earth, and it's a war that takes place in 1 minute of DC continuity, but it's many weeks for the Flash and his family. So that's about the only thing I can reveal. The non-disclosure, the agreements we sign are like, don't say anything or you're a dead man. So
Understandable. Yeah, I would love to read your Flash comic run, but yeah, it's hard to get those comics
it
in
is.
Germany.
It is. Yeah.
And then when the translation comes, it's totally different than the author wanted
Really.
to be.
Really. That's a bummer.
Yes.
Yeah. I hate that. I know that you know I do most of my comic reading on digital, on the apps, the DC Infinite app or whatever. Um, Gosh, that's too bad though.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
One day, yeah, exactly. One day I'll go to Germany for a convention. That would be really fun.
If you go, I probably will be there.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions for me?
There was some from my friends, but I forgot them, and I
Okay.
don't, and, and I don't, and I don't want to. I don't have the time to
I got it. Yeah. Well, listen,
message
you can
you.
always text me, or you know, I'm on Twitter. So
Yes.
yeah, awesome. Well, right now I'm going to leave you and go. I have to sign some Flashpoint Beyond books for a comic book store, local comic book store. So
Oh,
we'll see
great.
how that goes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. That was fun.
Thank you too. It was fun. Uh, maybe one day we do another one.
Yeah, yeah.
Pro-
I mean, you know, I always end up doing these, so give me a while, and then maybe we'll try it again.
Yeah. After the next Mortal Kombat movie,
Yeah.
maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Hit me up. Thank you,
I
MJ.
do it.
I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, okay, I want to be able to say goodbye before it suddenly cuts out.
Yeah.
All right. You have a good day. Thank you so much.
Thank you to you too.
All right.
Bye.